Orioles 10 times, an exclusive HTS.
Hit high in the air to left field and deep. Back to the wall. It's gone.
Nobody more of the great plays than home team sport. Nobody gives you more of the Capitals' dismay as they skate through the Stanley Cup playoffs. You'll see every home game live and exclusively on the channel you cheer for. Hockey fans are treated to the hard-hitting Wales Division Finals, the Camel and Wales Conference Finals, and the climatic Stanley Cup Championship, because nobody gives you more Stanley Cup playoff action than home team sport. Fast action continues when HTS takes fans to the racetrack for the Miller, Nazareth, and Charlotte Grand National, plus other racing action all month long, plus exclusive live coverage of BMW's Virginia Gold Cup. As many as 44 main events this May.
Your choice for quality meat and seafood is Giant.
Miller Genuine Draft.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Cold filtered, never heat pasteurized. Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
This graph shows how ordinary gasoline builds up deposits on intake valves. On the road, it can cause hesitation, loss of performance. But when Texaco's System 3 gasoline was used, valves actually got cleaner. On the graph, it looks like this. On the road, it looks like this. After 5 tanks, it gets even better.
The Stanley Cup playoffs continue here on Home Team Sports tonight. We are in our second intermission at the Capitol Center as you got a look at downtown Washington, D.C. And the Washington Capitals, give them full credit. They lead by 4 after 2 periods of play. Welcome back. I'm Jeff Rimmer in our Home Team Sports studios. And it has been all the Washington Capitals tonight. Power play goals, shorthanded goals. We're going to get a look at all the scoring this evening after the first 40 minutes on our scoring track, sponsored by Track Auto. We got a look in the first period. It was the Capitals getting things underway at 6:04. John Druce with his 8th of the playoffs. Courtnall and Hunter, a power play goal. Caps led 1-0. Jeff Courtnall with his 3rd of the playoffs. Druce drawing an assist, also to 1 to Hunter at 8:20, and it was 2-0 Washington. Rangers get on the board. Broughton from Turcotte, a shorthanded goal, but the Caps come right back at 10:33. Druce's 2nd of the night, 9th of the playoffs from Hatcher, and the Capitals were up by a score of 3-1. They added to that lead at 11:29 as Ridley scores his 3rd of the playoffs from Rouse. That was all the scoring in the first period. In the second at 4:14, Calle Johansson with his 1st of the playoffs, Tucker drawing an assist, and the Capitals with that 5-1 lead after 2 periods of play. Albert Ladouceur, a hockey journalist for the Journal de Quebec, joining us here on our second intermission. And Albert has been covering this series for the Journal de Quebec, and I'm interested in your thoughts on tonight's hockey game and the Capitals' play overall.
I'm very impressed by the Capitals in this series and the one against the Devils. The way they play a very good defensive game, but a solid game too. And they have this possibility to score the goal when they need the big goals. I'm really impressed. I always think that the Devils will beat them. After that, I pick the Rangers to win. But now I have to say the Caps have a good chance to be in the conference final.
Are you impressed even more so when you take a look at what the Capitals have been able to do without a Ciccarelli tonight? Michael Pavanka comes up lame before the game, and now they lose Don Beaupre in the first couple of minutes. 3 key players, and yet the Capitals don't look like they're missing any of them.
Yeah, but there's still no injuries on defense except Beaupre, but Youth is able to do the job. But the thing is, with the Capitol, they don't go with only 1 or 2 stars. They got John Druce. He's a revelation during the series. You have a lot of other guys who can take the job of Ciccarelli. It's more a team concept maybe than the Rangers. And that's why I think they got so much success in the playoffs.
So you're saying the Caps may be looking at the conference championships. Now, a lot of people might have thought the Montreal Canadiens might be there, but the Canadiens losing tonight down in the series, and we understand there's some controversy back in Montreal.
Some things happened. I called Montreal, and some things happened yesterday at the practice. Pat Byrne was mad about the power play. For sure, the power play is no good in Montreal, and he criticized the players. And behind him, you heard Claude Lemieux said, we got enough pressure, and Burns was not too happy about that. And I don't know if tonight Lemieux is playing or not. But yesterday after the practice, Pat Burns said to Lemieux, you won't have any pressure tomorrow. Maybe it means he doesn't play or he's not on the power play, but something's happened for sure again between Lemieux and Pat Burns.
I don't think our Home Team Sports viewers really realize the pressure that's in that Montreal area on the Canadiens, who are almost expected to win the Stanley Cup every year.
You have to see that. You have to live in Montreal or Quebec to figure that. All the pressure, the media coverage, you know that, Jeff. There's 2 or 3 newspaper each day at a radio station. You always go to practice with maybe 100 guys covering the practice. So Montreal Canadiens has to win. Despite that they don't have a good power play, they finished 3rd. Boston a better team, but they have to win. If they don't win, they will be a lot criticized. At first, Serge Savard, because he doesn't make any trade before the trade limits. They need some scoring punch, and Savard thinks that Stéphane Richer, Shane Corson, Ross Courtnall could do a job, but only Richer is playing well. So they need goal. They need more power on offense.
Last question. What about the Nordiques? Who's going to be the next general manager up in Quebec?
That's a big story. I go with Pierre Pagé. The top runners are Pierre Pagé, Dave King, and we heard a lot too about Brian Murray. And Marcel Aubu, the president, said that he doesn't want to go with the guys bilingual. It's not necessary now in Quebec City. He wants the best man available. And it looked like Pagé could be the best man. It all depends on him, and maybe the answer of Dave King too. Already met Marcel Aubu.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here on Home Team Sports. I know that we had to coax you to come on, but as always, a great journalist back in Quebec. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Albert Ladouceur of the Journal de Quebec. More of our second intermission. Stay tuned.
Subway makes the BMT and it's my way. The BMT's got a spicy secret at Subway. It's got 6-inch crisp and cool as ice. What's that secret? Slice of spice. That secret taste is just one place. Subway, my way. Subway, there's a secret to the BMT at Subway, my way. Subway, spice the way it ought to be at Subway. Oh, no matter what you do, baby, I'll be there for you. You can depend on me, yeah. There's no need for you to cry, 'cause I'll be right there by your side. You can depend on me.
New improved Kodak batteries last longer than ever. So when you need us, we're there.
You can depend on me.
New Kodak batteries. Depend on us to last longer.
Now how am I going to get there? It'll be great to see the guys again. I wonder if they'll all show. I just gotta get there.
I'm trying to make my way back to the Brackendale River.
Friends deserve the best.
This is great. They all showed up.
The crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer, Labatt's Blue.
What took you so long?
I had a little car trouble.
Between friends, it's true blue. Labatt's Blue.
Announcing the Subaru Spring Training Program. Fans, now's the time to drive home with Subaru, like the Legacy, with a power-hitting 16-valve, 130-horsepower engine, the options of civilized four-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes. You can save up to $1,500. That baby is out of here.
Factory-to-dealer cash incentives on selected models mean you could save up to $1,500 on a Subaru.
This graph shows that your car can drive better with Texaco's System 3 gasoline. In the BMW test, ordinary gasoline built up valve deposits, but System 3 actually took them away. Tank after tank, valves got cleaner and cleaner. As for performance, after 5 tanks, it gets even better.
The Washington
Capitals have a 5-1 lead over the New York Rangers here in Game 3 of the Patrick Division final round. We welcome you back once again to our Stanley Cup playoff coverage on Home Team Sports. Mike Fornes and Al Koken with you once again from a packed Capitol Center, and everybody having a good time tonight here as the Caps are really rocking the Rangers around.
Well, Mike, you know, it's one thing to sit back on a lead, and it's another thing to keep advancing it, and that's what the Capitals did. But the other thing you got to realize, too, is the Caps played a very strong defensive period. It was wide open, but because the Capitals forced it, when the Rangers were coming into the Capital zone, they had to go through at least 3, sometimes 4 men. So it wasn't like trading 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. It was a disciplined period by the Capitals, and they counterattacked well, and a tremendous emotional period for Washington.
Let's take a look at the shot chart for the Washington Capitals in the first period, or the second period, and 19 times the Capitals tested Mike Richter, and they had 1 goal from Calle Johansson. They were peppering Richter with shots from all over the place.
Well, every place. I mean, they actually had better scoring opportunities in the first period. If you remember our shot chart in that first period, they had a handful of chances right there in that semicircle crease. But with that tremendous attack the Capitals kept up, they did not hesitate. And Richter, I thought, had some great moments. The Capitals did get the only goal of the period. The Rangers were ready to break out of the zone. Caps kept it in. John Tucker put that shot on net. Calle Johansson, who had come down deep to try and make a play before that Ranger attempted breakout, was still down there, and he got behind all the Ranger defensemen and put home the rebound, banging it off the posts.
A very weak effort shot-wise for the New York Rangers, and as we look at their shot chart for the second period, you can see they had 6 opportunities, most everything coming from the right side, and they could not solve Mike Liut.
And again, I think that goes to what the Capitals were doing. They concentrated on defense first and had that good defensive position. They were handling the Rangers. The Rangers also didn't help their own cause. A lot of times they had an opportunity to gain the zone and dump it down and try and get some forechecking pressure. They tried to keep making plays, and the Capitals, with those guys standing up at the blue line, that's just playing right into their hands, and turned it around and got those nice counterattack rushes that ended up in those 19 shots on goal.
We've been told that with the injury to Don Beaupre, Sean Simpson has arrived from Baltimore and is in the building now here at the Capitol Center, and he is dressing and will be skating out to be the backup goaltender for Mike Liut for the remainder of this hockey game. So at least the Caps are prepared in the event of any further injury. That's it for right now. We'll be back with play-by-play of period number 3 in just a moment.
Advantage Jeep vehicles. Others copy, none compare. Advantage Eagle. New looks in performing art. Advantage Savings. Guaranteed cash back on Jeep Cherokees. New Eagle Premieres. Hot new Eagle Talons. And Jeep Wranglers. During the Guaranteed Advantage Sell-a-thon, the only advantage you don't have is time.
See your National Capital Area Jeep and Eagle dealer, where you can expect the best.
As soon as customers walk in our store, they smell aroma, and they rush right over to the bakery. I don't think people realize that we make all of our cakes and our breads from scratch. Every day at 4 o'clock, we have French bread come right out of the oven hot, and people love it.
To see someone come up to the bakery and purchase something that I've made personally, it just gives me a feeling on the inside that, wow, that's nice.
You'll never make it. $7.58, Jeff. 2-minute warning. Couldn't do it, huh? Get a sausage and egg biscuit, biscuits and gravy, or bacon and egg biscuit for just 99 cents at Hardee's. Go for it.
I got a gun. Give me a watch, a wallet. Give me everything.
It's not just another television show.
Help me! Somebody!
Before you went down, was his voice coming from above, or was it coming from below?
It's a no-holds-barred look
I don't know. It happened so fast.
at the real world of big city law.
A woman gets murdered on the street in front of an assistant district attorney, and you can't get a murder indictment?
How many times could we have stopped him before he killed her?
Equal Justice tomorrow on ABC Television.
Washington Capitals game coverage on Home Team Sports is brought to you by Safeway. Come see the difference at Safeway. Both teams back on the ice surface here, ready to start tonight's third period. The Capitals in the lead 5-1. They led 4-1 at the end of one period of play and added a goal by Calle Johansson to give them their current 4-goal spread. Now let's check in downstairs with Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, Sean Simpson has left the dressing room on the ice. He started in the broadcast booth in Baltimore. And by the way, the Skipjacks and Rochester are tied 1-1 after 2 periods of play at the Baltimore Arena. The Rochester Americans leading that series 2-1. Washington Capitals also want to remind you that tickets went on sale tonight for Game F, which is Game 6, if necessary, on Sunday night right here at the Capitol Center. We'll have it for you on Home Team Sports. It's a 7 o'clock start. Phone charge operators are standing by at 432-0200. Again, Game F tickets on sale tonight. If you'd like to reserve yours for the next Capitol Center game, you're welcome to call phone charge right now with operators standing by. An electrifying crowd here. They've been treated to a great hockey game here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's rejoin Mike Fornes and Al Coca.
All right, Jeff, thanks very much. Sean Simpson ready to go on the bench if needed. Al, everybody in this building is talking about this play. Is it a penalty shot or not? I believe Jeff Courtnall closes the distance here enough that he is caught from behind. The big question would be, is Don Koharski in position to make that call? And if he was not, I'm amazed. He's lost a lot of weight, and he should be a lot sleeker and a lot faster moving out there than he would have been a couple of years ago. Look at him. He looks good. He is a much slimmer version of Don Koharski than what we saw a few years ago, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only reason that you'd be behind the play. He might have just got caught, but I did not see where he was at the exact moment that play transpired, but that might have been it. It might have been a matter of angles.
It certainly could be, because when we see it on that replay high up above the ice, we see Courtnall on the left coming in towards the middle, and that certainly could have been the angle that threw him off, feeling that Ron Gretchen then caught him from the side and not from behind.
The only thing I can think of that Koharski might have felt that would have not given Jeff Courtnall a penalty shot on that play. Here we go with the third period. The Caps in the lead 5-1, and they still have 18 seconds of power play time left. John Druce against the boards, back to the point. Scott Stevens over to Druce. Druce into the corner now for Hunter, centers it. Druce a shot, saved by Richter, and the rebound cleared to the point. It hops away from Hatcher, and Kevin Hatcher chases it to center. Greshner's back on the ice and steals the puck from Hatcher as he skates to the blue line. So the Rangers again at full strength. Kevin Hatcher passes ahead for Hunter. Now back inside the Ranger zone. Bloomberg, a lead pass to center. Too far for Nichols, and all the way down is John Druce. He's bumped there in behind the net by Gartner. Puck centered, but Liut works it away with his stick. Lead pass now for Langway. Right side, Ridley. Left side for Leach. And Langway takes over again at center. Here's Kelly Miller. At the blue line, poke check, back out it comes to center ice, and Mike Ridley takes over. Here's Ridley dumping it back inside. Ranger territory. Caps change up the lines. Here's a lead pass for Ogrodnik. He's checked by Tucker, and back into the corner it goes again for Hatcher. Icing is the call here against the Rangers, and the face-off comes back to the New York zone.
Well, Terry Murray will at least have an opportunity to give a little bit of rest to some of his key players and guys who have had a lot of minutes tonight, while Roger Nielsen is just going to try and continue to get the right combinations out there. He keeps with the Ogrodnik, Kissel, and Mullen line. Of course, John Ogrodnik has been a big story for the Rangers in the playoffs. He's got 5 goals coming into tonight's game, and that gives him 7 goals in 10 playoff games while a member of the New York Rangers. A great resurrection story, kind of buried in Michel Bergeron's doghouse last year. Came on a little bit and played pretty well late in the season. And he's back full-time and had a great season as a free agent this year.
Greshner, right side. Here's a shot blocked by Stevens, and the puck cleared to the corner. Moeller is hit. Hatcher in to throw a check. Here's Bob Joyce out to center, and Berglund breaks to the blue line of He's being hooked, and the puck taken away. Moeller starts back. Up to Kissio, inside the Washington zone. Ogrodnik a shot, saved by Liu. And Stevens clears the rebound ahead for Nick Kypreos. Berglund chasing after it, but Kypreos throws it across the line. In New York ice, here is Rochefort with the puck. Out to center. Johansson back in his own zone. Leads it left side. Kypreos to center ice. Rob Murray to Steve Leach. His wrist shot just wide of the Ranger goal. Rob Murray to the corner. Bumped by Chris King on the play. Now here's Murray. Into Steve Leach. Tried to center it. And Leach went crashing in, or rather Rob Murray went crashing into Richter, knocking him down and knocking the net loose. And Don Koharski is over to investigate. We'll have a face-off to the right of the Ranger goal.
It's strange. I can't pick up anything.
Still, huh?
Cold filtered, never heat pasteurized, Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
Well, Mike Richter seems to be okay. I don't know if I can say the same thing about his coach. Roger Nielsen had opened up the Ranger bench door to try and get some words at Don Koharski. And there Rob Murray slightly taken off balance. And he's a bit out of control as he crashes into Mike Richter, who did bounce up rather quickly. And is set to go with Murray to take this face-off between Kypreos and Stephen Leach.
Here's Bob Rouse at the right point. A slap shot deflected wide, and now over against the boards. Here's Paul Broughton to move it to center. Murray ties him up. Long slap shot. Sticked wide by Liut. Into the corner. Rouse is hit on the play, but gets a pass off to Johansson. Led out to center ice. A steal by James Patrick. And the puck thrown inside the zone. Here comes Hunter in Ranger ice, but he's held up on the play by Patrick, who got back quickly. We have a penalty call coming up. A delayed call. This is against Washington, and as Liut touches the puck, it looks like a roughing call coming here against the Washington Capitals, and that's going to give the Rangers the power play.
Lazarus borealis, Didelphus marsupialis.
Many creatures in the animal kingdom come out at night.
Tyto alba.
Some are more exciting to watch than others.
Kypreos takes a spot between Neil Sheehy and Alan May, both of those guys finishing off misconduct calls. Kypreos gets a call for roughing at 3:36, and if the Rangers are to have a miracle in tonight's game, it's got to begin right now for them.
The puck cleared back inside the Ranger zone, and here comes James Patrick to start out. Patrick up to center, winds up, drives it on into the Washington zone. Hatcher over to chase it. It back to the goal now for Langway. Outside the line and recovered by Randy Moeller. Hatcher back in his own end, off the glass and all the way down the ice. Kypreos still has 1 minute and 20 seconds to serve on his penalty. Here's Druce finding an opening, and he clears the puck the length of the ice.
There's the Capitals. Instead of going out aggressively deep in the zone, they swing back in neutral zone penalty-killing checking, force the Rangers to dump it in, hold the men up, and John Druce is able to chase the puck down and clear. Perfect penalty killing by the Capitals, forcing more turnovers. Druce picking up another.
Druce and Moeller jam up right at the Ranger blue line, and now New York's John Ogrodnik hustles ahead to center ice. Drop pass for Turcotte. Walks in, winds, fires. It's wide off the glass. Back to the right point for Bloomberg. His shot deflected just wide. And off the boards, Turcotte cannot get to it in time. He has to chase it back inside the New York zone with only 30 seconds left in the Kyprios penalty. Capitals leading 5-1. Kissio checked by Bob Rouse. The puck bounced to the point, kept in by Turcotte. Sends it wide. Langway to the corner after it. Murray throws a hit. Langway clears the puck. And Kelly Miller chases ahead on the left wing. He's onside, fires, and Richter makes the save. Long lead pass to Ogrodnik at center ice. Dumps it back inside the Capital zone. Shoved out of there by Liut, right to Langway. He gives it to Kelly Miller. Miller ahead for Tucker. Tucker across the line. Takes a spill, tries to drop it off. Hatcher's got it. Walks in, a shot. Save made by Richter. Back to the corner again. The Rangers getting a break there on a big save by Richter, who stopped Kevin Hatcher, who was skating in alone. Now Berglund moves it ahead for Bob Joyce. Joyce backhands inside the Ranger zone. Blocked by Richter behind the net. Joyce in the corner after it, gives to Berglund. Berglund trying to center it, gets away from Tucker and bounces outside the line to center ice. Kevin Hatcher back to his own line. Up to Scott Stevens. Joyce tangles now and gets a pop in the mouth from Moeller. He drops the gloves, and he and Moeller jam up now against the boards. The linesmen are going to let them solve it here for a moment. Moeller can't get his arm loose, now reaches in, and Joyce has got a grip on him. And Moeller now gets a couple shots in on Joyce, but Joyce's helmet is still on. Finally, both players are separated by the linesman, and that will be the end of that.
Well, let's join Jeff Rimmer right now and a very special guest.
Thanks, Al. With us, the Vice President of the United States. And Mr. Vice President, you enjoy the hockey game?
This is my first hockey game this year, but it's a good one to come to. Looks like the Caps are going to make it.
I understand you're a great golfer, play a lot of golf, and there's a few Capitals that can play the golf game pretty good, so you might have to wait till the end of May, but maybe you can invite a couple of them out.
All good hockey players are good golfers, and they hit the ball a heck of a long way.
Understand that your son Ben's quite a hockey fan. Ben, come on over here. Find out who his favorite Washington Capital is. Ben, welcome to Home Team Sports.
Hi.
Who's your favorite Washington Capital?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? You like them all, right?
Yes.
This is a great game. Might we expect to see if the Capitals continue down the Stanley Cup playoff drill?
Absolutely. I'm going to be in Nicaragua Wednesday, but perhaps if they have to come back Sunday, but if they don't have to come back Sunday, fine. If they come back Sunday, we may come.
Well, they could be here for the conference championships and then maybe ultimately the Stanley Cup.
That'd be great. I'll be there.
All right, thanks for joining us. Come back again.
Thanks a lot.
Vice President of the United States, Mr. Dan Quayle, back upstairs to Mike and Al.
Here's Dale Hunter in the corner, throws it behind the net. Now to John Druce. Druce over to Courtnall. Checked on the play, and Courtnall brings it right back into the corner for John Druce. Druce skates it out, but now has it stolen, and it's cleared out of the zone and up on the right wing side from Mike Gartner. Gartner dumps it all the way down, and Hatcher, good skating move there to avoid Kerry Wilson's hit. And got right in there over to Hunter, out to center ice to Hatcher. Long slap shot faked by Hatcher. Now instead carries it to the corner. Hunter back after it. And the puck hops over the glass off a stick. And into the crowd, a Stanley Cup souvenir there for somebody in row 3.
Well, just a very little bit short of a sellout tonight. 18,011 fans on hand. 18,130 is a sellout. I understand there were a few hundred tickets for Game 4 of this series, the Wednesday night game. Phone Charge can hook you up with those if they're not sold out. And, of course, tickets for the 6th game, if it's necessary, here at the Capitol Center, on sale right now at 432-0200.
Five-minute fighting majors to Bob Joyce and Randy Moeller. Scott Stevens throws the puck back inside the Ranger zone. It's played off the boards, but Ridley keeps it in. Here's Mike Ridley. Poked out of the zone to center ice. Get across the line. Here comes Mullen, taken away by Scott Stevens. Stevens leaves it ahead on the left wing. Now here's Miller across the blue line, cutting in, looking for Leach, fires wide. Leach has the puck in the corner. Steve Leach back to the point, kept in by Stevens. Now to Miller, over to Ridley. Leach back to chase it. Here is Ridley looking for Miller, has it poked out of the zone, but Stevens is there to recover. Over to Bob Rouse. Drives it inside the line. Here's Hatcher. Back inside, Ranger ice once again, and Ogrodnik starts it out. Up on the right wing for Mullen. Mullen cutting in, shoots, but it's wide of the Washington net. Kypreos dumps it into the corner. And Ruff in a collision in behind the goal with Kypreos. At the point, Hatcher a drive. It bounces in front, backhand shot. And Kypreos has it kicked wide by Richter. Out to center ice. Here comes Chris King. Hatcher challenges him, holds him off. The puck centered. And it's grabbed there by Kypreos, but there's an interference penalty call coming. And we've got a Capital injured now, lying up ice, and trainer Stan Wong hustles out to have a look at Alan May, who was released from serving that 10-minute misconduct penalty only moments ago, and on his first shift out there is knocked down on the play and is being attended to now by the Capitals trainer.
Yeah, we just scored. No, I didn't see Kevin get hit. Kev, you okay?
I wind up in the hospital, and Bob gets a winning goal.
I couldn't let Kevin miss the party.
I was having a pretty good time where I was.
Friends deserve the best.
Friendship. Just being there.
The crisp, clean taste of Canada's best beer, Labatt's Blue.
I have to be flat on my back to get Bob to buy me a blue.
Between friends, it's true blue. Labatt's Blue.
Let's see how we can determine how Alan May gets injured. Runs in with Darren Turcotte, and
high
he rolls down. That stick right across the face of Alan May when Turcotte goes down to the ice. You're supposed to be responsible for your stick at all times. There's definitely an injury, but Nick Kypreos is the lone man in the penalty box right now with the interference call at 8:55.
May is awful slow in getting up, and because he's so close to the boards, it's hard to determine if there is any injury to him, although obviously there's something that is bothering him to the point where he has not risen up further than his knees. And now Rob Murray in to help Stan Wong pull Alan May up onto his skates, but he's still bent over.
Well, you know, a lot of it was because it certainly the way he is limping right now, it wouldn't have been the stick of Turcotte that injured him. So it obviously was something in that collision with Turcotte that had his legs spun out from under him, twisted around. And how much more can the Capitals stand, Mike? It's a situation where they're playing a dynamite game, but Cicerelli, Pavanka, Beaupre, now Alan May.
There's going to be a lot of question marks for Game 4 on Wednesday night in terms of who is in the Washington lineup and who is not.
I'm sure Doug McLean, who's in a battle for his home playoff life with the Baltimore Skipjacks in their game with Rochester, certainly going to have another player taken away from him. Keep your eye on his right knee. He locks up there with Turcotte. And you see how that right knee and the leg all bent back underneath him. That could be ligament damage. Could be a serious injury. Try and get some word to you about the condition of Alan May. As Jeff Rimmer tonight has had to be a hockey reporter, a medical reporter, and a political reporter.
Here's a centering pass wide to the goal mouth, and Kevin Hatcher moves it out of there and clears it all the way down the ice. James Patrick to center. Dumps it back inside the cap zone, and here's Miller to play it off the boards. And he clears it all the way down. Turcotte back to get it. Lead pass to the blue line for Millette. Langway pulls him down. Here's a break for Druce skating ahead with Berglund. Looks it across the line. Druce into the corner after it. Rangers recover the puck. 1 minute 5 seconds left in the Kypreos penalty. Here's Mike Gartner. Flips it into the Washington zone. Scott Stevens in the corner. Jams up on the play. Druce gets a piece of it. Now a pass over to Nichols. Back to the point. Winding. Here's Turcotte, a drive. Rebound. Shot. No goal. It hit the crossbar. Back to the point again. Here's Rochefort trying to center. That goes wide of the net. Now Stevens has dropped his gloves, and he is involved in a fight. And tumbles to the ice in the corner. And the linesmen move in very quickly here to break this one up as Scott Stevens is on top. And the officials were fearing that it was going to turn very one-sided as Scott Stevens and Troy Millette got going. Millette took the first punch in this one, but Scott Stevens had all the rest.
Monday nights at 6:30, tune in to Home Team Sports for the Washington Post Sports Talk, a weekly program featuring Washington Post sports columnists and guests, plus interviews with fans on the street about the hot topics in sports. Every Monday night at 6:30, it's the Washington Post Sports Talk.
Capital Scott Stevens, 5 minutes for fighting.
Well, Troy Millette and Scott Stevens in the box. Millette instigating and a fighting major. Stevens a fighting major. So the 34 seconds that remain in the Ranger power play taken away. Now here's that shot that hits the crossbar. Mike Gartner had Liut beat, but hit only metal and had it bound back out. Liut then made a couple nice saves as the Rangers continue to press. So it's going to be 4-on-4 hockey for the next 34 seconds. Then the Caps will have themselves a power play. Well, Stevens was extremely frustrated. Watch how Scott Stevens is going to get taken down as he's racing for the puck in the corner. Mike Gartner trips him up. Now that is enough to frustrate Scott Stevens, but then when he gets up, watch Troy Millette come in high on him. Stevens feels. Scott wraps him up and pushes him. Then that first shot is from Troy Millette. That's the definition of an instigator penalty.
34 seconds until Kypreos gets out of the box. Then Washington will have the power play advantage. Chris King is serving the minor call on behalf of Millette. Here's Rouse behind the goal over to Langway. Up the left wing boards. Leads it ahead to Rob Murray. Murray dumps it back inside New York ice. The puck rides the shelf of the boards into the corner. Here's Berglund taking it down. And it's played back to the right point. Rouse keeps it in. A shot off Murray's stick wide. Jeff Bloomberg throws it behind the goal. Over now to Rochefort. Here comes Rochefort ahead to center ice. Now to Mullen. Back into the Washington zone. In the corners, John Druce to play it. Off the backboards. And ahead on the right wing for Dale Hunter. Caps on the power play now. Here comes Rouse to center. He goes left side for Courtnall, back in the New York zone. It is cleared over the glass and into the Washington players' bench. So we'll have a face-off back at the Ranger blue line with 1:03 remaining in the power play and 8:42 left in the third period.
Well, you can see the injury list developing for the Capitals, and all of this just as of Game 2. Cicerelli got hurt in Game 2 at Madison Square Garden. Povanka with the stomach problem. Beaupre hurt tonight. Alan May hurt tonight. Of course, if you show that injury list to the New York Rangers, they say big deal. We haven't had Brian Leetch the entire playoff series. We haven't had David Shaw for most of the year. Mark Hardy is still out. They have had a number of people
Chris Nyland, another big factor. They've got key people out themselves.
Here's Hatcher, slap shot just wide of the net. Chased by Druce into the corner. Druce back to the point for Hatcher. He goes left side. Here is Sheehy with the puck. Sends it to the side of the net. Druce there to get it. John Druce works it off the boards. Back to the point for Johansson. Over to John Druce. Druce walking in at the side of the goal. Hunter pokes it back out to the point. Johansson off the boards. Druce tries to keep it going, but Patrick flips it out to center. Here's Kevin Hatcher for Washington. 30 seconds to go in the Capitals power play. Hunter on the right wing, right in front. Druce going for another goal. A shot and a goal! Jeff Courtnall gets his second goal of the game, and the Caps explode to a 6-1 lead.
Well, the Caps again get it down deep. Here's John Druce. He tries one more time, but with Richter down, it's Courtnall who finishes the play off. And, Mike, I think you're seeing exactly what the Capitals have got to do to beat Mike Richter. Shoot high on him, particularly when he's trapped down. He's not getting any protection in front for the most part, so he's been trying to do everything himself. He's been trapped down on the ice a couple of occasions. Here he goes out with John Druce holding on the puck and making Richter do all the work, making Richter make all the moves, and finally Jeff Courtnall comes in to finish it off.
That's the first goal scored in this period. Druce and Hunter get the assist. Here's another backhand shot just wide. A rebound shot. And Kyprios had an attempt stopped by Richter right in front of the net. It's Courtnall's fourth of the playoffs and second of this game on the Washington scoring play. Now a fight at center ice. We've got Sheehy and Chris King starting up, and Sheehy has landed all the blows so far. Some body punches from Sheehy. Getting in there with a right hand and now twisting King off his skates. King holds his balance. Sheehy grabs him, holding on by the helmet, pulls the helmet off, and uncorks a right hand to the head of Chris King. A right hand, and Sheehy, coming in with an uppercut on Chris King. This may be some payment on Dino's behalf here. Sheehy's helmet is off. King trying to get a punch in, and Sheehy comes over the top, throws into the ice, and the Capitals banging their sticks on the ice as Neil Sheehy scores a definite decision over Chris King of the Rangers. And the fans here are eating this up.
So are the guys on the Capitals bench. You know, Neil Sheehy has taken a lot of guff for both John Cunniff and Roger Nielsen, talking about that he will not fight. All he does is talk. He certainly showed when he drops the gloves. He means business there.
Here are the calls.
Chris King of New York. Number 15, Neil Sheehy of the Capitals. 5 minutes each for fighting. Time on the penalties, 12:31. For New York, number 12, Chris King. Washington, number 15, Neil Sheehy. 5 minutes each for fighting at 12:31. And by the way, on your way out of the building,
Al, it is almost unthinkable, but it has certainly been proven here tonight that the Washington Capitals dug down so deep, coming back from all those injuries, and have so totally dominated this New York Ranger team. To do it in the Garden with all those players that were still healthy, that was one thing. But now we've got some problems developing over by the Ranger bench as some fans are losing control, and the Ranger trainer is dumping some water on some people, and they are trying to restrain him now. And Dave Smith is the Ranger trainer, who has obviously had some sort of liquid dumped on him and came up with a squirt of water on a fan behind the bench, who was pretty brave with a lot of glass between him and the Ranger players, and that is not good.
Well, that is disgusting. You know, we've had some ridiculous, obnoxious behavior at New York's Madison Square Garden that we've commented on, and this is really just ridiculous. That is absolutely no call for that. Whether it was this gentleman or somebody else, whoever it was behind that New York Ranger bench, that shows you, one, no class, and two, no guts when you're doing it through glass. Whether it was this gentleman who was being escorted away or a compatriot, that is just awful.
Well, that gentleman is being shown a very quick exit, and the cheers that you're hearing from the fans are not for him. I think they are cheering his ejection from this building. There's a look at Dave Smith, one of the Ranger trainers, who decided he didn't need a wet shirt at this point or a wet head.
Well, I don't blame him for his reaction. There's absolutely no excuse for that. Have fun, scream as much as you want, yell down, and this has got to be a game that every Capital fan should savor. Why ruin it with an absolutely moronic performance?
I have to say here, Al, I think the fans in this building are generally very well-mannered when it comes to the other teams and with throwing things on the ice. You don't see that very often in this building.
I can't remember the last time we had that situation.
But everybody having a very good time, and one fellow who decided to participate in some nonsense is kicked out, and everybody else remains for the end of this hockey game, which has 7:22 to go in it, and Washington in a 6-1 lead. Back inside the Capital zone, the puck comes over to Mark Janssens. He's checked by Murray, and now it's played out front. Kerry Wilson, a drive that goes wide of the net. Back into the corner. At the point, here's Greshner to keep it in. Now Tucker sends it off the boards and puts it all the way back inside the neutral zone. Kelly Miller in his own end. Skates to center and tosses it across the Ranger blue line. Moeller in behind the net after it. 6:35 to go in the third period. And Miller dumped to the ice by Kerry Wilson. Miller recovers with the puck, shoots, has it off the side of the net. He's knocked down on the play. And now Rouse comes in and takes a run and gets a stick up high on his Ranger opponent, Mark Janssens. And Rouse got a bit carried away there with the high lumber. He went in leading with an elbow and then delivered a high stick right across the side of the neck of the Ranger player Janssens, and that was no doubt to settle a score from something earlier.
Well, they had been going at it the entire shift. A couple big collisions right at the blue line of the Capital zone, exchanged some sticks, and then they kept it going up ice.
With a 6-1 lead, the Capitals seem very intent on punishing the Rangers at this point in the game. And that makes you wonder what kind of a contest we're going to have here Wednesday night when these two teams go at it again.
And we understand the referee will be Dennis Morrell, who's serving as the alternate tonight. So he better be taking a lot of notes right now.
He is here and able to do that, and that's probably very true. But he was no doubt observing everything that's going on and will certainly have the knowledge of knowing what type of a game this was when he steps on the ice to officiate Game 4 on Wednesday evening.
Of course, the Capitals are going to have to come back with this same emotion. This Ranger team obviously will be approaching Game 4 as if it were Game 7, feeling that a loss would put them for all intents and purposes, out of the playoffs. So they've got to come out sky high, and the Washington Capitals have got to return to this level. And that is not an easy task to do. We saw what happens when the Rangers played at such a high emotional level in Game 1. They didn't have it for Game 2 when the Capitals cranked it up another notch.
Minor penalties for high sticking to Rouse and Janssens. No power play coming out of it for either side. And here is Ogrodnik. Bumped away by Leach in the corner. Now Miller chasing it behind the net. Here's a lead pass off a skate. Thatcher backtracks to his own line, and Johansson has no trouble in getting it up to center ice. Now here's Ridley back in his own zone. Mike Ridley leads it out to Leach. And Leach back to Johansson. Over to Kevin Hatcher. 5.5 minutes to go, third period. This one has taken a while to play. 10 minutes, 15 minutes shy of 3 hours. Gartner to center ice. Taken over now by Courtnall. Ahead to Hunter. Back to Jeff Courtnall. Courtnall coming on and takes it to the side of the net. Has it poked loose by Lindy Ruff. And a disturbance in front of the Ranger goal has moved the net. And as a result, we get another whistle.
It has been a consistent theme all night long. Capital forwards have been jamming the net, charging, getting all kinds of traffic and chances in front of Mike Richter. Let's check in with Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Al. Let's get everybody caught up to date on the Washington Post scoreboard. Boston now appear to be very close to taking a 3-game series lead in the Adams Division final. In the third period of the Forum in Montreal, it is 6-3. We'll have that game for you in its entirety at the conclusion of this Caps Rangers third game in the Patrick Division final. Over at Memorial Stadium tonight, the Orioles well in front of the Kansas City Royals. It's 6-2 now in the 8th inning. Remember, we're right back at Memorial Stadium tomorrow night here on Home Team Sports. The Orioles report at 7 with Tom Davis, 7:30. The Orioles and the defending world champion Oakland A's right here on the channel you cheer for, Home Team Sports. Let's go back upstairs to Mike and Al.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Rod Langway had gone over the Capitol bench after his last shift and appeared to be checking out his right leg, acting like it was giving him a little bit of a problem, but did get back out on the ice for that last little portion of that last shift and seems to be okay. All these Capital injuries have been so far to the forwards, except for Don Beaupre, but if the Capitals lose Langway, Stevens, or Hatcher, that, I think, would be the major loss. The Capitals have been able to recoup pretty well so far, but those guys have been so dominating in this entire playoff run for the Capitals.
Here's Hatcher back in his own end. Icing is the call, and the face-off again returns to New York ice. And Washington with 47 shots in this game, and that is the most they have had in this entire playoff series in any of the games, whether they be against the Rangers or the Devils. But the Caps have allowed only 19 by the New York Rangers.
See, that, I think, is the beauty that Terry Murray's going to see out of this game. Great to see the 47 shots he'll field. Great to see the 6 goals, but 1 goal given up at this point to the Rangers and only 19 shots. That says they are playing Capitals defense, and from then on, you're going to be okay. If you keep the opponents down on the goal column and on the shot column, you play that style of defense that he knows this team has got to play to be successful, then the rest will fall into place as it has tonight.
Face off to the left of Richter, who is well on his way to absorbing his first loss in the playoffs. He came in at 3-0. Puck slapped back inside the Washington zone, and Courtnall has it pushed away. Now Kissio gets a stick on it, but Courtnall recovers and starts to center ice. Jeff Courtnall to Hunter. Back to Courtnall. A slap shot just wide of the net. Back to the point. It gets away from Hatcher, and he chases it to center ice and recovers, holding up O'Grodnick. Hatcher plays it to the boards, and here's Courtnall back to get it. Left side for Scott Stevens. Right side for Kevin Hatcher. Dumped into the Washington zone. Here's Hatcher back to get it. Flipped all the way back to the Ranger line. Rochefort. Knocked down by Druce. And Mike Gartner takes over now. Lead pass up to Nichols. Nichols drives it into the Washington zone. Scott Stevens back after it. Bumped by Kerry Wilson, who came up high with an elbow. And the puck cleared by Ridley out to center ice. Rochefort back to take it. Back into the Capitals' end, and here is Hatcher. Off the boards, out of the zone to center. Rochefort again. Turns it over to Blomberg as the Caps just making the Rangers chase the puck, making them start their rushes again. Hatcher back after it. Throws it behind the goal. Up to Kelly Miller. Here comes Miller. Leads it ahead to Ridley. Right side Leach. Leach walks in. Slap shot.
Goal that you can say has got to be stopped by Mike Richter. It's a bullet. It's a good shot.
And unless it changes direction right there, this is a drive through the pads that Mike Richter should have had. And now that has also got to give Roger Nielsen plenty of thought. What kind of change do you make? You stay with this guy who is, all things considered, hasn't played that bad of a game because he's had almost no help in front of him. But when you see a goal like that, is he completely psyched out? And you go back to John Van Beesler. But Stephen Leach filling in on that line with Ridley and Miller in place of the injured Dino Ciccarelli comes up with the goal. Stephen Leach is second in the playoffs. And what a big role he has played tonight in the overall success of the Washington Capitals.
Well, the Capitals certainly have a luxury that Roger Nielsen does not have. And Roger Nielsen now has to remember that both his goaltenders have been beaten by the Capitals. And beaten badly. 6-3 win. One of them was an empty netter, but still a dominating game played by Washington there where they scored plenty of goals. And they have certainly done more than that tonight. With now 7 up on the board against only 1 to the Rangers. And these fans are celebrating here, saying goodbye to the Rangers. Of course, they'll see them again Wednesday night, but they're saying goodbye for this game.
Well, this is, you know, everybody is partying, everybody's celebrating right now, and it's what was going on in Madison Square Garden in Game 1, and the Capitals had quite an answer in Game 2. Washington better be ready for war in Game 4, and they cannot take the Rangers lightly. This team is going to come out, going to play like a wounded animal, and if the Capitals think they can just show up and push this team around almost like they have tonight, they're going to find themselves in big trouble.
Rob Murray and Paul Broughton, and now Troy Millette starting to talk it over in there. Nick Kypreos gets a shove from behind by James Patrick. Millette and Murray start to push and shove, and Don Koharski has seen enough. He's going to send these players right to the penalty box.
Once again, we have to repeat, we can only hope Dennis Morel is ready for war also in Game 4. It is going to be ugly. Felt that this game would be very similar to what it turned out to be, with more fights, more rough stuff, more after the whistle scrums than we had in the first 2 games, and it certainly has been the case as Rob Murray gets sent off for the rest of the game.
That's the only penalty call out of all that. Just the penalty to Murray, a 10-minute misconduct. 17:41, the time of the penalty.
You know, one thing, again, I'll say about Koharski, and we've seen it a couple times with some of the better referees. He hasn't just simply gone out and evened things up. Here's an opportunity. He could have sent Millette out as well, but he felt that it was Rob Murray who was getting everything going, so he gave him the misconduct. He did that to Sheehy earlier, did it to May earlier. He didn't just completely even things up and take the lazy way out and say, okay, both of you go. He really determined who he felt was at fault, who was instigating these situations, and has acted accordingly, and I think that's the mark of a very good referee.
Speaking of officials, Ron Finn and Wayne Bonney will also work the 4th game Wednesday. You can imagine how they feel after the exercise they've gotten this evening in breaking things up, knowing what's coming Wednesday, if indeed it happens. Here's Stevens over to the corner. Mark Jansen tries to center. He's hit by Berglund on the play. And the puck kicked out of the zone by John Tucker. Tucker races to the blue line. Coming on the right wing. Fires and a pad save. Richter didn't know where the rebound was, but he made the stop. Here's a pass ahead to Millette. Millette to the blue line. John Drew steals. Drew starts back. He's got Hunter with him and Courtnall. Drew's on the right wing. Stops in the corner. Jammed up on the play. And the puck taken by Millette. Millette leads it out of the zone. Up to Mueller. Back into Washington ice. Dale Hunter. Over to Courtnall, and Nichols gets a stick on it, but here is Hunter with it. Pass to the blue line. Bruce has it. 1 minute to go here in the 3rd period of this game. Back out to center ice. And Johansson again returns to the line for Courtnall. No, flips it off the boards. And it's sent back into the Washington zone. Liu guides it ahead for Rouse. Now here's Berglund. Left side. Johansson into Berglund. Offside is the call now with 23 seconds to go in the third period. And what a finish this has been. There's the final score of the Baltimore Skipjack game as they've beaten Rochester 3-1. So that ties their series now at 2 games apiece. But think back to 3 minutes and 16 seconds into this game, Al Koken, when Don Beaupre was pulled out. Things were certainly looking bleak for the Washington Capitals, knowing that Pivonka was not in the game, Ciccarelli was not in the game, now Beaupre had been taken off. The team responded with all kinds of scoring, and Mike Liut jumped right in there and did a very credible job tonight.
Yeah, you know, and that is going to be a big story also. If Don Beaupre cannot go in Game 4, the fact that Mike Liut has finally gotten a playoff win under his belt here, he's had all kinds of crazy games that he's played in as a Capital in these playoffs, and this has got to give him a real boost of confidence. It's got to help the way this team has played in front of him. They match this effort, they'll be in great shape.
Here's Berglund trying to center. The puck goes to the corner. 10 seconds left to play. Back to the point for Rouse. He winds and fires, and the shot blocked by Brock. The crowd counting down the seconds off the time clock. It's behind the net. The Caps win Game 3 and take a 2-1 series lead in this best-of-7 series against the New York Rangers. And Mike Liut comes up with a big victory in net. Coming on, Cole coming into the game, replacing the injured Don Beaupre. And stars aplenty in this contest as the Caps did a great job in standing up to the New York Rangers. They beat them on the scoreboard, and they won just about all the fights. And if they can recover from the injuries, this team may be headed a long, long ways yet in the playoffs. Shots on goal in the third period. New York had only 3, giving them a game total of but 19 shots for the night. And Washington coming up with 24 shots, or 14 shots on goal, I should say, giving them 49 shots for the night, and that is the most they've had in the playoff series so far. Now let's go downstairs to Jeff Rimmer.
Thanks, Mike. Terry, congratulations. Really an emotional game. I don't think I've ever seen the Capitals play with such emotion.
It was a lot of emotion, I think, because of a lot of things. With Dino being hurt in the last game, everybody came together and really we picked up the tempo because of it. It brings the team together. That bond gets a little tighter, Jeff.
The fans really, again, showing their support of this team, and I think gave them a bit of a lift.
Oh, no question. The fans here at the Cap Center, boy, when they're at their best, they are some of the best fans in the National Hockey League.
How about John Druce and Jeff Courtnall? Dino's out of the lineup, as you say. You got some guys picking up the slack.
Well, John Druce comes through again. He played very well in the playoffs so far, and he's started off on a good note again tonight. Courtnall scores. Stephen Leach gets a good big goal out there tonight, and maybe that's a sign of some good things from him.
Congratulations, Terry. Go enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Terry Murray, coach of the Washington Capitals, is bringing Jeff Courtnall. A couple of goals tonight, Jeff, and we were talking earlier on tonight. Dino's out of the lineup. Somebody's got to pick up the slack, and there's Jeff Courtnall.
Yeah, it was nice to see him go in tonight, and I think our line, Dale, he was making a lot of great plays out there, and he deserves a lot of credit.
We're going to get a look at your goals, and if you can describe them for us. Here we go.
The first one, John Druce drove wide with the puck, made a great pass back to me in the slot, and I just walked in and fired it far side, and it went through his legs.
How about the second goal?
The second goal, it was on the power play, and Hunt's passed it down to John Druce right in front, took a shot, and the rebound was just laying there, and I just fired it up high, and it went in.
This is, in my opinion, the most emotion the Washington Capitals have shown in a long, long time. Obviously, Ciccarelli's absence and the other injuries really brought this team together.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody, you know, Dino is such a big part of this team that to lose him like that is really tough, and I think everybody really pulled together, and that's probably the best game we played all year.
All right, how about the non-call on the penalty shot? I mean, it was pretty obvious to everybody in the building, maybe save for Don Koharski.
Yeah, he said I didn't have control of the puck, but I was a good 10 feet ahead of him, and I had full control, and I was pretty disappointed he didn't make the call.
Jeff, this is a big night for the Courtnalls. Now, Montreal lost, but Brother Russ had a couple of goals.
Yeah, that's great. He's starting to put him in. Hopefully it's not too late.
Well, go enjoy the victory. We'll see you here on Wednesday.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Jeff Courtnall, one of the stars of the hockey game. 2 big goals along with John Druce, and the Capitals now lead the series. Stay tuned. We've got more of our post-game show ahead.